Now this illustration deals with isolated grounding circuits. Now, notice we can obtain more information by looking at figure 16-133. And we tell you to see the figure loop and review this figure too if you want additional information. But now isolation of using an isolation grounding scheme is either cord and plug connected in accordance with 250.146D as in dog, an informational note, or hardwiring in accordance with a 250.96B informational note. And naturally, we would look at your 406.3D as in dog with isolating grounding circuits where you cord and plug connect, hardwire, and so forth. Now notice in this illustration, we have a non-metallic spacer at the sensitive electronic equipment. And this non-metallic spacer or fitting is listed for such use in accordance with 250.96B, 250.6D as in dog. And if you have a computer room, then we would leave here completely and go to 645.15. And then, of course, we would use 408.40 exception if we were bypassing metal and panel boards, subpanels, and things like that back to the service. Now, notice the non-metallic fitting is right there at the equipment. So any noise that equipment generates itself will be blocked from that metal raceway by that coupling, non-metallic. Any noisy type signals or currents that would come in over the conduit from the service panel to that coupling would isolate. So typically speaking now, if you pull the equipment ground now to bond and ground that equipment, sensitive electronic equipment, the equipment ground would be based on table 250.122 and installed by 250.96B as in boy is listed over at your service equipment when you look at the equipment grounding conductor there. Now, basically speaking, any noise coming in would kind of choke out, or current would choke out about, say, 2/3 or 3/4 of the way down that raceway system with equipment ground in such a manner it would reduce so the equipment wouldn't get a signal that would cause it to malfunction in some manner, current, whatever. And then notice if the equipment was generating a noise, it would travel over the equipment ground, same procedure. About 3/4 or 2/3 of the way, it chokes it down to a level that wouldn't be a problem. So we're using hard-wired methods here in 250.96B to provide isolation, and we're not cord and plug connecting in accordance with 250.196D as in dog, And then remember that 645 will give a section that will list the items that have to be present for that room to be considered a computer room. And if it is, then, and I say considered a computer room, then you know we're installing everything by 645 of the code instead of this section, but we still might be using 250.96B in some cases. But we'll get into that portion of grounding in a computer room at the tail end of this presentation. So we're just looking at isolation grounding circuits in accordance with 250.96B.